Want to 10x your growth? Discover how only 3 growth hacks in 10 days can change everything. Welcome to the 10-Day Growth Hacking Challenge with your host, Nader Sabri. Today we're here with Marc Jarrett, shaking up the virtual power networking scene. When the pandemic kicked in, he kicked up. He was doing this before the pandemic, but the pandemic introduced new challenges when it comes to power networking. Today, he's almost like his own virtual LinkedIn with over 200 plus WhatsApp groups, one of his main tools, and for very specific reasons. To learn more about that, you can click below and go to our first video when the kickoff, where you can get a bit more about Marc's narrative. At the same time, within his network, he has roughly first-line access to over 50,000 people because of these groups, and he is working those networks to develop not just networking opportunities, but the ability to take the pressure and pain away from those who need to power network but don't have the time nor the effort to do it. Before we get started, who want to do what we do here on the 10-Day Growth Hacking Challenge, you can learn by going to book here, which we use is the growth thinking methodology. If you want to do what we're doing, this is your answer. Marc, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Awesome, man. I always love connecting with you, man. The energy just boom, flies right back and forth, man. I just love it. So how you doing, man? First and foremost, how you doing? How are things going on your end?
Great. I've had a very productive start to the week, and here we are, Monday lunchtime, and I'm with you in Dubai, and here I am in the UK.
There we go. Small world. We just made a bigger world, a much smaller place. And that is the cornerstone of what you do, isn't it? You're able to make a bigger world smaller for many people when it comes to networking. That gets people very anxious. I've seen the way that you're able to break down the anxiety between people and bring people together. It's been quite incredible. So we get just a step back before we get started here. Marc has done something phenomenal when it comes to the growth hacking. He's actually pivoted in a micro way, but it works really well. And one of the things that we do when it comes to this challenge is that when we find that there's an area of friction, we don't want to go there. We want to shift to a direction where we have lower friction and high impact. And Marc has successfully done that. We've implemented the first test. We've got some results, but I'm going to let Marc take over, explain the hack, explain the results that we've gotten, and we've got something phenomenal that came out of it as well. A direct result. Obviously, we look for signals, but we got a direct result out of this. Marc, I'll leave it over to you if you can explain to us growth hack number 1 and what has happened and what the results look like. Go for it.
Okay, before I do that, a brief background. At the end of the day, business boils down to 2 things, and that's people and trust. So what I've done is created this enormous ecosystem of amazing people throughout the world, an environment where they feel safe to engage with one another, and then the business comes later. So the growth hack has been reaching out to my network and just asking them, do you find value in what I do? And most people say yes to that. And then I've been asking them, are you, I've been showing them a menu of all my 200 WhatsApp groups and offering them a bronze, silver, gold and platinum package. So with bronze, it's 10 groups. With platinum, it's all 200 groups and some virtual networking tools that they can use. So I'm finding that the feedback has been very positive, and it's also a great opportunity just to catch up with people. And this virtual networking, I've been extolling its virtues for many years now, and because it's clean, it's free, and it's global. It saves a ton of time, money, and carbon by networking this way. And think about it, Nader. If you go to a networking event in Dubai, you're only going to meet people in the Dubai region.
Yep.
Whereas in a WhatsApp group, the whole world is our oyster.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And one of the things I love that you've done, and for those, if we haven't, I think we talked about before, but you've got these groups segmented. So they're not just random groups of people. You have very well articulated segments, like, you know, Tesla, one of the ones that you put me on, and you have a very specific name for it. If you can remind me, it was
Terrific Tesla.
Terrific Tesla. So it has these amazing namings, and then these amazing segmentations where we've got everybody who's interested, not just in Teslas, but interested in electric cars and the future electric cars all in one group. And as you mentioned before, I mean, you get two minds together who don't know each other, but in the same area, you're likely to have something spark.
Exactly. So one of my groups, for example, is all about nanotechnology. I know very little about nanotechnology, but what I do know is when you get two people in the same room that have an interest in nanotech, it's more likely to lead to a meeting of minds and a possible transaction. So each group has got its own theme. So that might be mergers and acquisitions, oil and gas, automotive, construction, fashion, music, you name it. There's a WhatsApp group for each industry. And I use that as a conduit for virtual networking. And only 1 in 5 Americans uses WhatsApp. I'm on a mission to make that 1 in 4. And I've been invited to give a TED talk or TEDx talk, 2 billion reasons why you should use WhatsApp to network virtually.
Love that.
Because that's how many people use WhatsApp. It's about 1/4 of the world's population. Everyone uses it here in Europe and India and elsewhere. But ironically, from its birthplace, the United States of America, of course, Facebook own it, but only 1 in 5 Americans use WhatsApp. And that's usually only when they or their friends and family are traveling overseas. They don't see it's actually a very useful business tool.
I agree. Yeah, there's a cultural thing there. I mean, I agree with you, and that's one of your missions. And when do you plan to do this talk? Is there a date set for this talk at all?
It was recorded already, but it was 4 minutes too short. So I've got to re-record it. But I'm in no hurry really, because I'm learning and meeting more and more people every day. There's no time pressure as such.
Got it. Cool. Well, whenever you have it ready, share it with us. We'd love to put it in the description below so people can actually watch it who are tuning into this. So in the future, we'll be updating that, and that'll be a great way to do things. So stepping back. So in this hack number 1, I mean, you created a simple message asking if you see value in what I do, as a question, just to get a yes or no back. And then you replied with the services you have in the tiers that you've got, which is your bronze, silver, and gold, which is basically a quantity of access to different specialized groups that expands your network almost instantaneously for a pretty low cost. Is that correct?
That's correct. The prices range from £9.99, which is about $13 a month, with no contract or tie-in, just pay to play basically. Up to £50 a month. And then I've been engaging with the existing people that are paying me this way and asking them, do you hate networking, or know someone that just doesn't have the time to network? Because about 10% of people hate networking, but many, many more, over half of all people, quite like it, but they just don't have the time. It's quite a time-consuming process. So if people engage me, then I will effectively network on their behalf, so they don't have to. A networking concierge service. And I'm delighted to report that one of the world's largest law firms have retained me, so I can tenaciously seek out the people to help meet their business goals and just bring them to the table. Amazing.
So basically, I mean, the hack here is to get them into your first tier services, which are your automated services, and you've managed to do that. I think you've sent 40 messages, is it, or 20? I can't remember the number. And you've had about 25%, if I remember correctly, response, and you've had 1 close on just that single message, correct?
Correct.
Right. And so I think like ultimately we got to scale those numbers, because I think with the kind of volume that you've got in the sense of these different networks, I think those numbers can grow as you definitely replicate and drive that even more. So I think that's probably the only piece of real feedback I can give you on hack 1, because I think what's going to be interesting is going to be hack 2, which is taking those who, because it's almost like a funnel, right? Like you're getting people into like, okay, let me get you into the most basic networking stuff so that I get you moving. And then, as you rightly mentioned, there's people that just don't have the time, don't have the effort, like to do it, but they need someone to do it. And that's the next level stuff that we want to push in hack 2 and 3.
Exactly. So like a concierge service, basically, where I just network for them.
Yep. That's awesome. Awesome. So guys, I mean, that's really awesome. We've kept things really simple with Marc's hack. We had a more sophisticated one, but we decided that wasn't working. And by the way, for those who tune in, if you've seen the other challenges, that is something we highly encourage. Nothing is stuck in stone, and things that don't work or get us what we want, we move it out and replace it with something that gets us moving, because action is what makes things grow. And that's what we've done here. And that's what Marc has done here actually very well. And we're going to replicate that across his whole network to get more people into his monthly services, where they're able to tap into more of the segmented networks that he has in place. And that builds the platform for hack number 2. All right. Which we'll talk about obviously in our next part. So next 3 days, we'll work on hack number 2. Awesome. Anything else you want to share with us, Marc, in the sense of results or any impact or learnings or reflections you've had?
Yes. I want to leave you with this thought. Networking is like opening a bank account. You cannot make a withdrawal until you've made a deposit. In other words, networking is all about helping and care and sharing and helping others.
Yep. Agreed. I think it was, I can't remember again the name of the guy, but he called it giver's gain, right? Like give and then gain. That's the way it works. And many people forget that, but ultimately, it is about giving and sharing, and then things come back in many different ways and many different levels. So I think it's a really good piece of wisdom and an important thing to remind people actually consistently when they're networking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they tend to forget. Okay.
Yeah. If you go to a networking event in the real world and just sell, you won't get any results. If you just help people, then it's the law of attraction will come back. The universe will come back.
100%. Guys, that is Marc Jarrett shaking things up in the virtual power networking scene with almost 50,000 plus people in his direct network. I consider him like a mini LinkedIn, but with a lot more juice and power behind it. We can get a ton of things done. Hack number 1 has been a success. So we'll move on to hack number 2, ladies and gentlemen, as we tune out. To do what we do here, this is the book we use, Growth Thinking Methodology. For more information about Marc, click below. If you want to know more about his story, head over to the first video, which is Kickoff. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, Marc.
Take care.